back to Roxham TV and also welcome back to Gem Crypto. Today I'm coming to you live with a heavy heart because a tragedy just took place in Hong Kong. There's a massive fire and in a region called Tai Po, and it's affected thousands of people because thousands of people were living in the building. I mean, they're still living in the building, but the region there is really chaotic. Right now, the latest number we got hold is 55 people confirmed dead. So basically, what happened is that there are 8 buildings. They are tied to each other. They are very connected because buildings in Hong Kong, they are all skyscrapers, so they are very close to each other. And one thing about the construction is that, well, when one fire happens, so it started with a small fire, and then it quickly got out of control. One building got a massive fire, and then it spread out to seven. The rest of 6 other buildings, so 7 buildings out of 8 buildings were heavily affected. So yeah, I mean, this is a tragedy, and I was actually driving around the region, and even this morning I drove past the region. There's still smoke coming out from the sky, so it's very heartbreaking that even after 24 hours, the like more than 24 hours, so the fire still hasn't been controlled, and my deep condolences to the people who are affected. And I usually start my show with Bitcoin charts analysis and a little bit of TA. But since this news broke out, literally it happened yesterday afternoon, and so far in Hong Kong is still very chaotic in certain regions because some of my friends actually live in Tai Po. And from what I heard from them, is that the traffics are horrible, and then people are in horrible state right now. So today's show is a little bit different. I actually want to look into the global news, starting from Hong Kong. We're also going to look at the Ukraine deal, so between Ukraine and US and Russia. There are a lot of bad news, so perhaps we should just like get all the negative news out there before hopping into Bitcoin, because like Bitcoin had a nice little bound. Like as I mentioned, well, I actually talk about this like I like to call it a dead cat bounce, and looks like it's playing out rather well this relief rally. So let's actually start with the global news. So let's just like get all the negative stuff out of the air, and then we could look into Bitcoin. So here is the latest number: 55 people confirmed dead and hundreds missing in Hong Kong as firefighters battle last of public housing fires. So again, what happened is a massive and deadly fire broke out in Tai Po. The estate is from the 80s, so 1980s, a really old, like a few old buildings. 8 towers, home to over 4,600 residents. Many of them are elderly. The blaze started outside on bamboo scaffolding. So one thing about Hong Kong is that when we do construction, we do instead of steel, because I know only in Hong Kong or certain areas in China we'll do the bamboo scaffolding. So the blaze started outside on the bamboo scaffolding during renovation work and quickly spread across the multiple towers. And right now, a lot of people are heavily affected by this. Hong Kong declared the highest level emergency, so a level 5 fire alarm is actually the first in 17 years. Over 1,200 firefighters, EMTs, and rescue teams responded. So when I look at pictures like this, because it's completely heartbreaking. Some of the videos, so here it was like it was very horrible. Like I couldn't believe my own eyes, and Hong Kong would experience this because we haven't seen a fire like this took place in decades, like more than 60 years. So my initial reaction was I was shocked, um, like completely heartbroken. But my second question I want to ask is that what caused this? Why did we have this fire in the first place? So it looks like, again, it caused by someone smoking. So just before the fire took place, we have seen construction workers smoking and basically throwing cigarettes outside the window, like outside here on the building. So looks like, well, of course we can't confirm right now, but looks like this is one of a very possible cause. And this post is trending online. If this is how we caused fire, like workers like this, like deserve to be rot in jail. Like there's no way you could just throw cigarette butts outside the windows like this. And another issue why the fire got so out of control like this is that when the small fire started, for some reason, the alarms were disabled during the construction. So not a lot of people know about how serious it got. So they couldn't escape the buildings. And the third human error that I spotted is that, okay, let's go back to the construction here. The third human error is that we pay attention to the buildings, like all these 8 buildings, they are covered with this like green stuff, so green covering on the outside of the buildings. And turns out these materials are extremely flammable. And there are cardboard, thinner foam stored on the scaffolding as well. So what happened is that these construction companies, they were trying to save costs. So instead of using non-flammable materials, they tried to cut costs, and that's why they used the other stuff instead. So those are not fire resistant, and there are styrofoam and foam boards sealing windows on every door. All of these burned like extremely fast and create a domino effect from one building to the next. So 7 buildings out of 8 buildings were affected, were on fire. And this is just the human error we're talking about. The second reason why this got so out of control, and even until now, the fire still hasn't been settled, is because, okay, right now is end of November. That means, technically speaking, it's very dry season, is kind of chilly in Hong Kong. So the dry air and also the strong winds, they've basically create more make the flame more spreadable to other building as well. And that reason why this is so out of control is that when it comes to the firefighter, there's limitation as well. The ladders could only reach halfway up, like up to 32-story towers. And we know Hong Kong is full of skyscrapers, so like anywhere above that, there's a limitation. And people are also comparing this to the London one. So the London one in this is I think back in 2017 or something. So Grenfell Tower, the fire basically moved vertical and horizontally in an unstoppable chain reaction. So stuff like this tragedy, mostly it was human error. Like, where is the regulation? So where is the a safety regulation for construction companies like this, like non-fireproof materials, like they're saving costs. That's why they switch it to non-fireproof materials. But why there isn't anyone checking this? Why there isn't anyone regulating this? Like the materials did not meet the safety standards. And workers, like, why would they disarm disable the alarms? And why would they be smoking at the site? Basically, they violated all the rules. I mean, I'm not against smoking, but again, like, go to somewhere safe and make sure your cigarettes are off. Like, why would you throw your cigarettes outside a building and yeah, from outside a window and to when you sitting on a skyscrapers? So police have arrested three main people, two directors from the construction and engineer, and then one person from the engineer consultant. They are under investigation for manslaughter due to gross negligence. I mean, these people deserve to be rot in jail for the rest of their life because, like, look at this, like how many lives they're taking so far. So 55 confirmed dead. And this number, like, I won't be surprised this would go up drastically because this morning when I was doing research, it was 44, and right now when I check, it's up again. So this comes after repeated warnings in Hong Kong. Just last month, and basically there are a lot of fire took place recently in Hong Kong. Last month, in October. So we have this blaze happen in Central, though it's not as serious. So the battle lasted for like 4 hours. So this is a building in Central. It's called China Cham, the China Cham Tower. It highlighted similar risk. But enforcement remained really weak in Hong Kong for some reason. And as of right now, even one day later, several towers were still smoldering. So this is, again, let's go back to fire. This is one of Hong Kong's worst fires in more than 60 years. And in Taibo, in the affected region, there are measures being taken. So all the affected people, basically people who were living in the building, they evacuated to temporary shelters. All the schools nearby closed, roads blocked, and all the bus routes, of course, they have to reroute it. And people living in Taiwan are very affected by this. It's very chaotic in the region right now. Even a small fire, small wildfire, even broke out due to flying embers. So, in this building, most of them are elderly, so at least 25% over the age of 65. Of course, they are the group of people heavily affected by this. But it raised questions about aging buildings and about overcrowded public housing, because this is a deep issue tied in Hong Kong. We have all the buildings so close to each other. So I was completely shocked. And yesterday, Xi Jinping, so president of China, also offered the condolences. He called for all-out efforts for rescue and support. And as for the Hong Kong government, so the Hong Kong local emergency operation centers activated, of course, and there are missing person hotlines because there are still more than 200 people went missing. Basically, the families couldn't, so more than 270 people are still unaccounted for. So the phones just simply not working. I could only imagine what they're going through. So missing person hotlines and apps being set up, free mobile data, hotel rooms, meals being offered, And there's some donation as well coming from Xiaomi. So they donated $10 million, 10 million Hong Kong dollars to basically the government. So again, this tragedy exposed how vulnerable Hong Kong's dense, aging public housing can be, and how outdated infrastructure and construction shortcuts and climate risk can turn a renovation site into mass casualty event. And again, this is a heartbreaking day for me, especially I live in Hong Kong, and this is my home city. So I hope this get resolved soon. And once we get more updates, again, I'm gonna break the news on Roxham TV. But Hong Kong has, yeah, I mean, there's more construction regulation need to be in place, like regular checks must be in place. Like this could not happen again. This is again extremely stupid because some companies cut costs and use flammable materials and got so out of hand. So this is what happened in Hong Kong. Let's also move on to the second news. So again, we are looking at the global news before doing the Bitcoin TA today. So Ukraine and Russia peace talks. What happened is that Donald Trump is pushing really hard for a revised peace deal to end the nearly 4-year Russia versus Ukraine war. Donald Trump said there has been tremendous progress, calling the latest round of negotiation very positive. So the US and Ukraine, they had their talk in Geneva last week. So what happened next week is that Donald Trump going to send someone, so going to send a diplomat. So Steve Witkoff. Steve Witkoff is heading to Moscow next week. A possible three-way Trump, Putin, Zelensky summit is being floated. US officials claim Ukraine agrees with most of the framework. However, behind the scenes, Ukrainian sources said the very opposite thing. So their major disagreements remain, especially on land concessions. Russia hasn't officially responded yet, but early signals from Moscow are very, very negative. So it looks like Trump is just being Trump, like he's giving hopium, shilling his deal, shilling about his negotiation tactics. So is the war ending soon? Short answer is probably no. Trump campaigned on ending the war in 24 hours, but like that deadline passed in January 2025. Even now, he admits both sides are harder to reconcile than expected. Where things stand today is that okay, U.S. dropped its Thanksgiving deadline for Ukraine. Basically, Donald Trump was like, take it or leave it. NATO shifts said the war could end by year end, but I think this prediction is being too optimistic. Like most of the analysts see no real breakthrough because Russia wants more land and Ukraine, of course, refused that. Russia is still attacking. Ukraine is still hitting Russia refineries and bases. Both sides think time is on their side. And there are many items remain unsolved, remain unresolved. So, for example, Russia demands recognition of control over 5 regions. So Russia just want to take more land from Ukraine, and Ukraine said is politically impossible. Like 70% of Ukrainian oppose giving up land. Both sides remain far apart. And deal, second most discussed thing inside this deal is the NATO membership. Like Ukraine wants to be in, so Ukraine actually wants this NATO membership, while Russia is like, there's absolutely no way Russia is going to allow Ukraine to enter the NATO. for US, like US proposal initially is that US guarantees without full NATO membership. This again remains unresolved and politically toxic in Ukraine. The reason why we know this is because we have a leaked document for some reason. So the first version of the plan drafted by Wikov leaked earlier and was widely criticized as too pro-Russia. Like it almost makes us to think, does Putin has something on Donald Trump? Like, why is the deal so favorable to Russia instead of Ukraine? Is he just like so eager to end the war? That's why all the deals are so unfavorable to Ukraine. So of course, Europe called it unacceptable. Ukraine pushed back. So the US rewrote it from 28 points down to 19 points. So what changed in the new 19 point? Like that included military cap removed, NATO troop restrictions revised, some element of flexibility being added. Ukrainian officials said very few things are left from the original, but territory and NATO, the core issues, were pushed to the presidents themselves. So what this means is that Trump, Zelensky, and Putin will have to negotiate the hardest part face to face. So neither side looks like they're going to take the deal like from Russia's point of view. Putin sees no need to compromise because like even despite the sanction, like the Russians economy has been doing pretty well. So they have been selling oil to countries like China or India. So there isn't like Russia is quite adapted to sanctions by this point because like it almost lasted for 4 years. Very likely Russia may reject the new plan outright. Zelensky said Ukraine won't be an obstacle to peace, but insists Russia is a problem. Ukraine is also building its own weapons, so over 50% of its arsenal now, reducing pressure to accept unfavorable terms. So I would say the next step, what's very likely is that we know Wikov is going to visit Moscow next week. He may brief Putin or some Russian Security Council. If Russia rejects the revisions, we go back to deadlock. So no progress. If Russia is willing to tweak terms a little, Donald Trump might push for a Trump-Putin-Zelensky summit, likely somewhere around Abu Dhabi or Geneva. The best case scenario, like what we hope, is that, of course, a ceasefire. So ceasefire outline agreed, the presidents negotiate remaining issues and timelines set for troop withdrawal and demilitarize. But worst case scenario, like which I lean towards to the worst case scenario, like Russia may very possible reject the plan and war just continues. Ukraine increase refinery strikes. Russia intensify drone attacks. So most of the analysts actually believe the second scenario, so the worst case scenario. It looks more realistic from what we've seen. But all eyes on the talk. So this is going to happen next week. So as soon as we have more updates about like where this is going, of course, like we're going to break the news on Roxham TV. Well, as I mentioned, I wanted to get all the negative news out there first, and then before hopping to the TA. So what we're going to do right now, let's take a little break because that is a lot of negativity. So before we look at the basically the bounce of Bitcoin, looks like okay, we rally to above 90K. So before we look into that, let's take a little break, and I'll see you guys in about 3 minutes.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin. No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the centre of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're travelling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick, monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Welcome back. As I mentioned before we hit on that little break, I just wanted to get out all the negativity so that we could now focus on market analysis, focus on the pump that Bitcoin is doing, because looks like Bitcoin, it had been rallying a little bit. Like we went above 90k. Right now, when I'm looking at the chart, it's actually sitting at 91k. So the question being, is this a real pump, or basically is another dead cat bounce? So let's actually start with the daily chart, daily candles first. So again, there are good things that I'm seeing from the daily time frame. So daily being the shorter time frame. Of course, we're going to spend some time looking at the weekly and 2 week in a bit. So let's start with the shorter time frame. So we are seeing some positive momentum on the RSI. So we we formed this downtrend since 4th of October, and finally we broke out of this downtrend. And basically this is the only positive sign I saw from this chart. Like, I know you guys hope to see more positive news, but like I'm afraid to break it to you. I'm a very truthful person. Like, this is so far the only positive news I'm seeing from daily chart of Bitcoin. So what this justify is that, okay, let's go ahead and close the RSI for a bit. And I drew this trend line. So basically we have been forming this, and this actually came from the hourly candle. So we were looking at the hourly, and we basically, what happened since 126 all-time high is that we have been trending downwards. We hitting this like critical levels and just like keep getting rejected whenever Bitcoin hit this trend line. So that's why we drew this on the daily as well. And so far, Bitcoin is still trading below this trend line. In other words, like, this very much could be a relief rally. Like, as I mentioned, even last week's show, like, as I mentioned, I won't be surprised to see Bitcoin even rallying all the way up to 100K and then we get rejected again. Like, for me to flip bullish, like, first of all, we really do need to get out of this downward momentum, because like right now we're just like hitting this critical region. We're not even close to this like general downtrend. Another level I'm watching is, of course, like this region, this little box I drew out days ago. So it's between 90K to 92K. The reason why this is critical is because, okay, that's the prior support we have, and then that's the prior resistance. And that is a lot of data around this region. So I won't be surprised is that, okay, if we find resistance and then we got rejected again, but if the market wants a relief rally, like this, it's very difficult because like it keeps flipping back and forth. There are bullishness, like if you're a bull, there are bullishness you could believe in. For example, macro, like people would like to talk about the macro tailwinds. You know, rate cuts are coming, you know, liquidity, global liquidity is unlocking. So that's the bull wants to believe, or maybe they could look at on-chain, because on-chain never flashed. Like, they never warned us this could be a cycle top. That's why I kind of stopped looking at on-chain. But like, if you're a bull, you'll believe macro tailwinds and also on-chain, because on-chain keeps telling us that the best time is still ahead of us. Where if you are a bear, like if you look at TA, everything is just like, looks like we are just on a general downtrend, because like, just bear in mind, even a bear market, it's not a staircase straight to hell. Like, it still makes sense to have uh relief rally like this. So what it means is that even in a bull market, it makes sense to have pullbacks like this and maybe consolidate and go sideways like this. And same thing apply for a bear market. It's not just like straight to hell, but like we will get bounce like this. So that cat bounce, and then we go down further, or maybe consolidate a little bit, go sideways. So from a TA perspective, like, apart from the RSI, so daily RSI, there's a little bullish sign. Well, this could be very much aligned with the that cat bounce relief rally narrative as well. So here's one of the reasons. And then another level, and another reason why I'm so bearish on the general trend where Bitcoin is going to. Of course, like 4-year cycles very much looks like it's intact. But one level I'm watching just from a TA perspective is 108K. The reason why this is important, because this is the prior all-time high. So prior all-time high, prior all-time high, so prior resistance. prior resistance, like it's gonna basically prior all-time high, and here we have the support. So anything below 108k, that's bearish. So that is another checkbox for bear market. So this is just on the daily chart. Let's also hop on to the weekly chart. Well, maybe we should start with the weekly before hopping on to the 2 weeks. So from a shorter time frame to a slightly higher time frame. So starting from the weekly, again, these downtrend is still playing out very beautifully. And actually, let me remove the drawings because it's a bit messy to look at. And then another checkbox is the 50-week moving average. So there are two lines here. The top line being the 50-week moving average, the bottom one, so the red line being the 200-week moving average. So when we have a weekly candle close below the 50-week moving average, and bear in mind, usually we need 2 consecutive weekly candles close below the 50-week moving average. That is the definition of bear market from a technical standpoint, because like that has been played out rather well here. So back in 2021, so in November, late November, early December, so we touched this like 50-week, like touching is fine. However, like we keep touching and spend so much time, so like consolidate here a little bit, and finally on 13th of December 2021, we actually closed below the 50-week, and ever then we're just like bouncing around and spend some time here, just like a few weekly candles, and finally, boom, we have the confirmation. So 2 weekly close, 2 weekly close below the 50-week moving average. That is the definition of a bear market. So like I'm still seeing influencers out there, YouTubers out there, like saying alt season would come. And even though we have the confirmation here, like honestly, I don't know what those people are doing. Like, are they trying to get us to buy their bags? But actually, I have no respect for influencers like that. So here we have the confirmation. This is just one example. Back in 2021, November 2021, here, why like in June 2021, we didn't classify as a bear market because like if we zoom closer, okay, we touch, so we spend some time, we're just like, this is a sideways action consolidation period, we're just like trading inside this box. So we touched the 50-week back in June 2021, but again, it's not closing below. Like technically speaking, we only have one close below the 50-week moving average. And then ever since that one weekly close, of course, it's quite concerning because we need 2 weekly close to call it a bear market. So one weekly close is, okay, we're 50% there. But if we take a look at the next candle, like this weekly candle, it has strength, it has momentum. So that's why, from a technical standpoint, the bear market hasn't started. Whereas right now, that is basically the definition of bear market. Like, of course, there's still good news because like we haven't dropped below the 2-week the moving average of the 50 MA from a 2-week candles. We're going to take a look in that of that in a bit. So okay, let's go back to the weekly before we hop on the 2 weeks. So point being, from an all-time high of 126k, we dropped to like 80k. So that is a 36% correction already. And this is just like, this happened within 2 months. So relatively short period of time. And we have already seen a 36% correction. So that is pretty much, so this, again, it ticks the box for being a deadcat bounce. Like having a 30% correction, that means we don't like we're not like going straight to the 200-week moving average. So sitting at around 58k. We're gonna like very likely after dropping 36%, we're gonna like chop around. We have like bounce like this, or maybe even trying to get close to the 50-week moving average, and then we're gonna bounce around, consolidate a little bit before going down even further, because this is the pattern that has been played out consistently again. Because like if we take a look at the previous cycle top, so being November 2021, and then here we have the weekly close. So even from 69k, and then we just like we close below the the 50-week moving average. Here is 39% correction, and the pattern here, like we're not going straight to whatever this is. So where's the bottom? So we didn't go straight to 17 or 17k. Like we actually, if we take a look at this pattern, we actually consolidate. So we're going sideways before actually going down. So that is another pattern that looks very much like a relief rally, in my opinion. Like I won't be surprised, okay, getting up to 100k, but for me to flip bullish again, this again line up with the 108k. That's the critical level I'm watching, and I really do need to see Bitcoin get out of this downtrend, like actually close above that once and for all. Those are the two critical levels I am watching. So for me to call it the bullish momentum to continue. And let's also hop onto the S&P as well, because like S&P, what happened in the past few days, actually, well, how long? So the past, 1 month, so 29 days. So we are trending downward. We're having this like correction. Like if we take the percentage wise, it's nothing like compared to Bitcoin. It's like a 5.7% correction, but like for S&P term, it could be quite a lot of money. So we know one thing about the S&P is that right now the market is really fearful, not only in Bitcoin, but also people are calling for an AI bubble. And we know basically the entire US economy relied on tech, rely on AI, rely on NVIDIA. So a lot of this like money, a lot of that inflow is coming from tech. And while we are fearful about AI possibly popping, the AI bubble is popping, this would affect Bitcoin heavily, because Bitcoin is deeply correlated, deeply tied with tech stocks, especially Nasdaq or even Nvidia. So for me to flip bullish, like I need to see the S&P get out of this downtrend. So close above, not just wicking above, actually close above this downtrend. So that's how I view the overall financial market. Okay, so that's for the daily, weekly, and also for the S&P. Let's also hop on to 2-week for now. So looking at things with a even higher time frame perspective. So let's go back to the 2-week. And one good news and one thing I like about the 2-week chart I'm seeing is that we actually found support. This candle closed on Sunday, so actually quite from a 2-week perspective is actually quite recent. So today is Thursday, so we have a new one on Monday. That's how it works. And since we had the close already and we actually above the 50 MA, this is a good news. So this means like we found a little bit of support here, and it could be like very much, since we found support here, it makes sense to have a relief rally, like a that cat bounce, that what we are seeing right now. And most of this is driven by shorts, we know, like short positions actually get squeezed and they got ragged really hard. So we just have to flush out the liquidation a little bit because like too many people were bearish on the trend. As we know, the market like to do the opposite of the majority of people. So again, what I'm seeing from a TA technical standpoint is that we have lost the 50-week MA and we closed below the 50-week MA for 2 candles, so 2 weekly candles close below. For the 2-week, so this line right here, we're actually still above. So there is maybe a 20% chance if we just like, if we are being a ultimate bull right here, we're gonna revisit and go back to the all-time high. And based on Tom Lee, his prediction, we're gonna reach 150K by year end. Well, I would say there's like a 20% chance we still in a bull run. Everything looks like we align with the 4-year cycle very beautifully. And what we could take away is that, okay, if the 4-year cycle is playing out, that means the cycle bottom gonna happen in October next year because we have the magical number and if we measure from cycle bottom to cycle top, is roughly equivalent to 1,064 days. And then once we reach the cycle top, looks like it's 126K. It happened in October 2025 this year. So once we hit that cycle top, we're gonna go down for 365 days, so essentially a year. So I do expect we're going to see a cycle bottom next year. I know there's a lot of tailwinds, but if it's not reflecting on my chart, I'm sticking with the math that actually works for me. So what we're going to do right now, let's take a little break before we hop onto some Tether news because like Tether being downgraded and is that concern if we should switch over to USDC. We're also going to take a look at PayPal. Like it's not all doom and gloom at the end of the day. Like we have some giveaway from PayPal actually. So they're giving away some BTC. If you guys are based in America, then this is going to be a really good news for you because like there's a chance of winning some free BTC. So what's better than that, right? So let's take a little break and I'll see you guys in about 3 minutes.
Security matters. Zappo Bank. The only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you, don't go!
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the center of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're traveling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick, monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Alright guys, welcome back. As I promised you, we are now going to take a look at Tether, because what just happened is the S&P Global Ratings just downgraded Tether's USDT from a stability score of 4 to 5, like 5 being the weakest, the lowest rating on their 1 to 5 scale. This rating doesn't measure Tether as a company. It measures USDT's ability to keep its peg at $1, basically based on the reserve quality that they have, based on the transparency, and also how exposed they are to so-called risky assets. And why S&P downgraded USDT? So S&P says Tether is holding too many risky assets, especially BTC and gold and secure loans and corporate debt. USDT only has like roughly 4% over collateralized buffer. So a 20% crash in Bitcoin could technically push USDT into under collateralized territory. This is S&P's second ever review. In 2024, USDT scored a 4, so basically a number 4 on the scale, and today it dropped to the bottom. So how did Tether take it? Like, of course, the CEO of Tether not taking it so well. Tether immediately rejected the downgrade, calling S&P model being flawed and saying it ignores the record profits and their huge reserve surplus. And here's the tweet from the CEO. So Tether instead builds the first capitalized company in a financial industry with no toxic reserves, and yet is and remains extremely profitable. Tether is living proof that TradFi system is so broken that it's becoming feared by emperors with no clothes. So of course they didn't take it so well. They argue they are actually very much over collateralized. They have survived every crash, like since 2014. So Tether has been around for more than a decade. So I would say it's really been through the test of time, or even went through FTX crash, FTX collapse, or the Silvergate BS. And the reserves are actually, I would say, stronger than most banks. Let's just be honest. So my question here is basically, like, who is this like S&P rating? Because bear in mind, we came from a crypto background, so TradFi companies like this, we might not be too familiar. basically S&P Global Ratings is one of the big three rating agencies. So that include Moody's or Fitch. And this S&P Global Ratings, it was actually found in the 1860s, so centuries ago. And they routinely rate government bonds or corporate debt, structured products, and now even stable coins. They started rating stable coins back in 2023, focusing purely on the peg stability. And as for Tether, like since Tether has really been through the test of time, and there was so much Tether FUD over the years, like over the crypto space, and I've seen cycles. Every single cycle, we get a Tether FUD, and yet we have it again. So I wouldn't say every cycle, maybe every year we get a Tether FUD. So I'm very used to it. Tether actually, in my opinion, it has improved quite a lot. Like, it's improved since 2021. They have a quarterly attestations, not audit. They break down the reserve more clearly. They removed the commercial paper. Like I remember when I first looked into Tether, they were backed by Chinese commercial paper. Like what the hell is even commercial paper, right? And they diverse into treasuries right now. So take a look at this. Like 80% US treasury bills. They're actually one of the biggest treasury bills holder around the whole world, and they have massive profits. So they earn so much money that they have to buy gold, buy BTC. So here's the wallet of Tether. So they right now they have $11 billion. This is like one of the on-chain wallets. So they have $8 billion in BTC, and of course like Tether, and then they have some gold on-chain gold as well. So what still worries the S&P ratings, the TradFi people, is that Tether right now, they still don't have a full audit. Like they never had a full audit ever. And they limited visibility on BTC custody, on those gold fold arrangements and loans to affiliates. So S&P doesn't say BTC, so because they hold a lot of BTC, so BTC or gold, they didn't explicitly say those assets are bad. What they said is that BTC and gold, they are very volatile and your buffer is thin. But like this is wild, and like I don't know, I find it really, really stupid, the whole thing. Like Tether is now the world's largest non-central bank gold holder. That's how much money they have been making over all these years. As of let's go back to the number I've got here. So how much gold does Tether hold? So precious metals now account for approximately 7% of Tether's reserves, valued at around 13 billion. Tether asset breakdown as of September 2025. So in total, Tether holds about 104 tons of gold for USDT and 12 tons for XAUT. So I just find the whole accusation really, really stupid. Like Tether actually hold more gold than a lot of countries around the world. What S&P rating, so global rating, what they're saying here is that this is gonna make USDT riskier. But what Tether is arguing is that this reserve is actually making USDT stronger. So what's the key takeaway for you, like for the audience, for the viewers on this channel? Well, there's no reason to panic. Like, as I mentioned, Tether has really been through the test of time. And even during crash like FTX, like people were trying to redeem the USDT for the actual USD. And Tether still managed to process that like without any hiccups, like billions of dollars being redeemed to the actual USD, to the actual fiat dollars. So Tether has been through the test of time. I am seeing improvements from Tether like over the years. Like, of course, it was like it started out as really dodgy, like they backed by commercial paper, and there's a lot of accusation that Tether printed the money out of thin air, out of nowhere. And there's another conspiracy theory, like the more Tether being printed, the higher the value of Bitcoin will get. So that's a statement. It has been around for years. Like, of course, I don't know if there's any truth to that, but what I could see is that Tether has improved a lot, and it has been through the test of time, been through multiple bear markets, and longer than any altcoins, most of the altcoins, even longer than Ethereum history. So if you are really scared of holding Tether, I'll also diversify stablecoins. Like it doesn't have to be USDT. It could be PYUSD from PayPal. It could be USDC or FDUSD. So it doesn't, like, point being, it doesn't have to be USDT alone. Like it's always good to diversify everything. Like you have to diversify your holdings into different coins, into even stock market, or like if you prefer a more stable yield, then maybe even more something more traditional than that. So point being, diversification is always a good idea, whether it's your holdings, whether it's your stable coins, or even cold wallets. Like don't just stick to one cold wallet, like diversify into different brands, or if you guys like to use ledger, even like try to diversify into more than one ledger if there's like a lot of crypto that you're holding. So that's only makes sense for risk management. So moving on to the next one, there's some giveaway, especially for American folks who watch this channel. Like, looks like you have a chance of winning that BTC during this holiday period, because PayPal has launched a huge holiday crypto giveaway called the PayPal Crypto Sweepstakes. It runs from 17th of November till 21st of December. They're going to give out a total of $1 million worth in BTC to more than 1,000 winners. So again, the goal is basically is a promotion for PayPal, but like if there's a chance of winning free money, I'll take the chance. But too bad I'm not American. That's why I'm just gonna leave it to you guys who are watching this channel and happen to be American. So this actually encouraged US users trying to basically try out PayPal's crypto features, like buying or selling or converting crypto. But like in order to be eligible for this, there is a free way and there is a way to cost a little bit of money. Like if you're trying to test out that crypto feature on the phone app, then of course going to cost a little bit of money, but there's also a cost-free basis if you guys are interested in that. So who is eligible? This is open to US residents, open to all 50 states. This is a US only promotion. You have to over the age of 18, and you must have a PayPal account in good standing. So how to enter? As I mentioned, there are two ways. The first way is the online entry. So through crypto transactions, like you could open your PayPal app, make some eligible crypto transactions, so maybe buy or sell or convert. Each transaction is equivalent to one entry, and there are 10 entries per week. But bear in mind, stablecoin transactions do not count. So entries going to reset weekly, but if you don't win, they roll into the next week and the final grand prize draw. So that is the first way that costs a little bit of money because you have to test it around, test different feature. The second way is it doesn't require any money at all. no purchases of crypto at all you have to do is to mail in a card with your name, address, phone, all the information, and make sure you write the PayPal crypto sweepstakes and mail it to a address here. So that's the address if you guys are curious, want to enter. So there's going to be one entry per envelope. It must be postmarked within each weekly window. And this method is completely free if you guys are curious to check out. As I mentioned, there are 5 weekly drawings and 1 grand prize drawing at the end. And per drawing, the first winner gonna earn 100,000 in Bitcoin, so $100,000 worth in BTC, and the BTC is credited directly into winner's PayPal crypto hub. So that's some good news, some giveaway. If you guys in the US, make sure to check that out. The website is here, but make sure do check the website whether it's the legit one, because when we have giveaways like this, more chances or not, there's going to be some scam links as well. So I'll advise you to copy and paste this link and actually search it on Twitter to make sure that is the legit link. Because if it's a scam link, there are usually posts to warn people about that being a scam link. So that is always double check when it comes to link and online security. And finally, more good news actually. So there's a big move pulled from Robinhood. Robinhood announced a strategic partnership with SIG. So together, they are launching a new exchange focused on prediction markets and gonna expect it to go live in early 2026. So this builds on Robinhood's event contracts feature rolled out earlier in 2025, where users can bet on elections or spot results or economic data like the CPI or the job market or the Fed moves and other real world events as well. So, of course, when this news broke, Robinhood, the ticker symbol HOOD, of course, spiked up instantly and one of the top performer in the S&P 500 that day. People are very excited about the basically new revenue streams for Robinhood and the growth of prediction markets because it looks like it's just going to get bigger. So how the prediction market works? User trade event contracts, basically yes, no bets on outcomes. For example, will the Fed cut rate and the December meeting? Contract price might be 50 cents, so it implies a 50% chance. If the event happens, contract settles at $1. If not, you're just gonna lose that money. Robinhood earns money via fees and also spreads, similar to options or crypto trading. So there is also a regulatory angle as well, because this actually is not being treated as traditional gambling for some reason. They are treated as derivatives and fully regulated by the CFTC. And what the new SIG-backed exchange changes is that Robinhood isn't just adding a few more markets, they're actually building an exchange. So with SIG help, this new venue aims to offer more types of contracts, especially non-political events. Maybe we could look into, I don't know, some culture or some sports or some music. If a person gonna launch out a new album by, I don't know, the end of year, just a random example, but you get the gist. It also expands contract complexity beyond simply a yes or no. Very possibly they're going to integrate crypto, so you can eventually fund prediction trading with crypto or stable coins, depending on feature approvals, of course. What I'm seeing is that it looks like the exchanges, not only Robinhood, but exchanges are constantly adding the prediction market nature onto the platform. And I would say it makes sense because like Coinbase or Robinhood, they both want a slice of that bet on anything narrative, bet on anything market. So for Robinhood, their approach is building their own prediction exchange with SIG for liquidity and market making, direct integration into Robinhood app. So they have full control, the UX, the branding, the fee structure. Whereas Coinbase is partnering with Kalshi. Kalshi, of course, the really regulated CFTC prediction exchange. So Kalshi would handle the sentiment, the market creation, where Coinbase provides the front-end UI, wallet integration, like using USDC or stablecoins for bets. So I would say it's a little bit different in stance. Like Robinhood is trying to build the exchange, where Coinbase is trying to plug into an existing regulated exchange. So like Kalshi and layer crypto on top of that. So uh, I do see maybe other platforms would add in the prediction markets nature as well, because there is more revenue streams like fees on every tradable contract. So every contract trade, and there's like high turnover. If there's a certain event that is really popular, especially during the presidential election, like we are seeing such a high volume and high tech on poly market. So that is one of the reasons why prediction market gets so popular and why these platforms are eyeing and adding this feature in. And the second reason is the user growth and retention, because like it kind of lock in the customers even more. And then that reason I could see is the data, because like when users are betting on a certain outcome, they're actually using their real money. So that means they have high conviction. That data is really valuable for institutions, for media, for internal product decisions. So I would say it's really smart for companies or platforms like this to add in that feature. So if you guys are holding Robinhood, that's good news, because like this push, what essentially is doing is that it's pushing new growth narrative tied to a fast growing niche. For user is a new way to bet on what happens next in politics or markets or sports and the economy inside the app they already use. So that's good stuff. All right, so that's a lot of materials that we've covered today. Just last call to action before we wrap this up. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. So my Twitter is jamjamcrypto_io. Make sure you put _io. And actually, I talked about this with Rob yesterday. I was like, last night I was doing a live stream with Rob, and we cover everything about hacks and scams. It was a great time because like he actually prepared an entire PowerPoint, and he covered all the really popular scams in the crypto space. So for example, I'm not sure if you guys would get messages, because like I get the iMessages all the time. So there are messages from so-called Binance, and I'm trying to withdraw money for some reason, and they trying to send me some withdrawal code, and where I didn't even open Binance, and I didn't withdraw any money. So there are a lot of digital risk, a lot of digital scams. Usually, iMessages like this would attach a link and trying to scam you into clicking that link, or there's a phone number attached and lure you into calling that number, and only found out it's actually not the exchange, it's some dude running in the Philippines or in India trying to scam you for money. So we cover a lot of the popular scams that happen in the crypto space. A lot of valuable content being offered inside the stream. So it's 1 hour long. I really advise you to check it out and protect yourself, whether it's digital risk, scams like this, or hacks like this. as I mentioned, like we talk about the giveaway, a PayPal giveaway. One of the method you could use is actually just copy and paste this link and put it into, search it on Twitter, put it here, see if this is legit. It would save you from a lot of hassle, a lot of those like scammers and hackers trying to take your money and take your account away. Because like in my case, my original account was hacked, so being Genuine Crypto, and then I created a new one, and for some reason, like Twitter is not giving me my previous account, and the hacker still get a hold of my previous account, and he has been stealing pictures of mine from Instagram, from posts like this, and basically copy and paste my caption and run it on my hacked account. So a lot of my followers, some of my friends, they still thought I have the original account, and they got a DM from me, so-called Champion Crypto. So just be very careful. And if you want more regular updates from me, make sure to follow @GenuineCrypto_IO, and make sure to follow Roxham TV as well, because we have regular updates not only about global news, but also about Bitcoin news and AI news and all the macro data, all the macro updates you wouldn't want to miss out. So give us a follow. It's Roxham TV. It's @Roxham TV. Really simple. Again, my show is Monday to Friday, starting at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm extending my show from 1 hour to 1.5 hours. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. And I'll see you guys same time tomorrow then. Take care.